Do you sometimes not feel okay? That's okay. Today I'm going to talk about how to deal with not feeling okay. So get settled and let's talk about mental health. Hello and welcome. I'm Jeremy Godwin, and this week I'm talking about how to deal with not feeling okay. Sometimes you are not going to feel okay. That's just the reality of life. And if you have any kind of mental health challenges like depression or anxiety, even when you learn to live with those conditions, there are going to be good days, bad days, and average days. Because the reality is that recovery and growth is not linear in the sense that you don't just magically go up every single day. Sometimes it's all over the place, and that's just part of the process. So today what I want to talk to you about is some things to bear in mind if you are not feeling okay. And this can apply at any stage. You could be in recovery, you could be quite early on in having some challenges around your mental health and well-being. Whatever it is, the process that I'm going to talk about today is really a broad process for you to consider in terms of how to approach digging into it and looking at ways that you can confront and move forward. So let's start with the first point: confront the situation. Look, if you feel like crap, there is no point just putting your head in the sand and avoiding the situation, because avoidance makes things worse. The longer you leave it, the worse it can potentially get. I know from firsthand experience, when I first was starting to have a bit of a breakdown, which then turned into a full breakdown back in 2011, I ignored it, and within the space of 2 weeks, I was suicidal. So the thing here is that if you avoid things, it potentially just becomes much bigger. The sooner you confront whatever is going on with you, the better. So confront the situation. Sit down, think about what's going on. If you need to, go and talk to somebody. Talk to your doctor, talk to a therapist, talk to a counselor. If you need to, talk to a trusted friend or family member. I would caution you with that last one though, because as much as we love our friends and family members, it's very hard for them to be emotionally objective and rational because of their attachment to us. And if you are feeling like crap, really what you need is somebody to tell you the truth rather than tell you what you want to hear or what they think is going to make you feel better. So I highly recommend talking with somebody, especially your doctor. The second point is to identify the why. Now, I talk a lot in my work about identifying and working through the why of things. Why do I do that? Well, I do that because when you understand why something is happening and what its actual root cause is, you can treat the root cause rather than just responding to a little bit of what's going on. Because emotions are very much like icebergs in the respect that what you actually see, what other people see, is just a fraction of what actually sits underneath the surface. The thing here is that if you are feeling like you are not okay, it's about starting to do the work to identify why that's actually happening. If you just respond to the not feeling okay thing, then it's like having a sneeze and responding to that without stopping and thinking what other symptoms you might be experiencing, so that you, well, hopefully not you, but a doctor can diagnose the actual disease rather than the symptom. So that brings me to point number 3, dig deep into the why. So when we think about why something may or may not be happening, very often what happens is that we're just responding to that sort of surface level of what we're feeling. If we dig a little bit deeper, quite often you'll find that there are things that sit way further down that are actually contributing towards that. So in previous episodes of the podcast and here on Let's Talk About Mental Health TV, I've talked about Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs, which is sort of psychology 101, if you like. And it's a theory put forward by Abraham Maslow, which talks about different levels of needs. This is it, and you'll notice that right down the bottom are our safety and security needs and belonging needs and all of those types of things. They are our more fundamental needs before we start getting into things like friendship and self-actualization and, you know, turning ourselves into somebody whose videos get watched on YouTube, that type of thing. So the piece here is that the theory states that if your basic needs are not being met, that there is a very high opportunity then for that to have an effect on the other areas of your life. we feel threatened, we feel insecure, we feel unsafe when those needs are not being met. So I've talked about this in previous episodes of the podcast. Check out episode 7 of the Let's Talk About Mental Health podcast. Let's Talk About Baggage, where I actually go in depth into a process that you can use called the 5 whys that helps you to dig deep into whatever is going on in order to be able to address it. I'll leave the link in the description below. So moving on to my next point, brainstorm ideas. So once you've spent a fair bit of time understanding the why and you're convinced that you have got either the root cause or closer to the root cause, now it's time to start thinking about what you could possibly do to address the root cause. So brainstorming is a simple process. It's a corporate thing that I'm sure many of you would be aware of. It's also used in education. The thing with brainstorming is that there are no right or wrong answers. It's absolutely about getting as many ideas out as possible, and you don't worry about filtering right, wrong, good, bad, stupid, not stupid, any of that stuff. There are no dumb ideas. The only dumb idea is the idea that hasn't been expressed. So get out as many ideas as possible in terms of what you could possibly do. If you are stuck, try Googling. Have a look for how to address this or how to address that. How to get over my obsession with the Spice Girls. By the way, there's no getting over that. It's for life. Whatever you need to do, come up with a big list of as many things as possible, because that then brings me on to point number 5. Make a plan for 1 or 2 things that you can try each day for a few weeks to address the specific items. So the bit here is that you might come up with 85 different ideas, but you cannot physically do 85 different things. Pick 1 or 2 that excite you, that feel good to you, and that feel also reasonable. We could sit here and talk about SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And by all means, go off and do some research on that if you would like to. However, I think the main thing here is that your goals should be realistic and they should be small, bite-sized chunks. Because the thing is that if you try to boil the entire ocean, you will be at it for 3 million years and never make any actual progress. But if you try to boil this thing of water, you'll be able to do that in the space of a short period of time. It really is about breaking things down into easy, manageable chunks so that you can get on with your life while still making progress at the same time. If anything is taking 3, 4, 5 hours a day, that's way too long. And so my bonus point, surprise, I have a bonus point because I never do that, is take things one day at a time. So in the previous point, I talked about breaking things down into small steps. And the thing here is that even with a list of small steps, it might feel really overwhelming. All you can do is focus on today. You have no control over what's going to happen tomorrow. You have no control over what's going to happen next week. So all you can do is take one small step today. The thing with small steps is I know that we live in a society where we expect everything now, and we get really impatient with things. But I tell you now, if you try to get everything done immediately, all you are going to do is create results that are not sustainable. Small steps lead over time to massive results. So that's it for this week. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Catch the Let's Talk About Mental Health podcast every Sunday for a deeper look at how to improve your mental health and well-being, and watch this video next for 5 things that you can do to feel happier today. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care and talk to you next time.